Do you ever feel as if each day is a battle? That each day has some sort of new fight, whether it's something at home or at work or just in the world around you. That each day there is a new conflict that comes up in your life. Maybe you found that because of this conflict, sometimes it's difficult to live out our faith. It's sometimes difficult to grow in our love for God. And those things that we know we ought to do, well, it's difficult because of the fights that we're facing in our life. And see, there's this interesting kind of picture that Paul paints. He says, though we live in the world, we do not wage war as the world does. He's talking about this with his friends from Corinth in 2 Corinthians chapter 10. He says, though we live in the world, we do not wage war as the world does. In fact, so we don't use power, we don't use might, we don't use our abilities, so to speak. We don't force our way. We don't think might makes right. He says, but what we do is we use divine power. We use godly strength. And so how we overcome the battles of each day is not through our own might or our own wisdom or our own abilities or our own cunning and guile, but what it is we use godly wisdom. And so the only way we can do that is by making sure that we have Scripture in our life, that we are being led and guided by faith, that we're being led and guided by the words of God in our life. And so he says we don't fight, we don't wage war as the world does, but we use godly wisdom. And in so doing, when we are confronted with arguments, when we're confronted with opportunities, when we're confronted with things that we know stand directly against Scripture, he says when we are presented with these temptations, these opportunities, these actions, these things that we know, what we do is he says we take every thought captive and make it obedient to Christ. So sometimes we're tempted to do what is wrong. Sometimes we're tempted to go our own way. Sometimes we're tempted to take a path that we know we shouldn't take. We know we shouldn't go down that road. We know we shouldn't go that way. And so what we do is we take that thought and we take it captive. We imprison it. We arrest it and block it away. And then we make our next thought in line with that. In that line, we make it obedient to Christ. We think, what is it that Scripture has taught me? What is it that God's wisdom has taught me? What is it that I know that I should do? What is that next right thing that I should do? And Paul says we confront arguments, we confront opportunities, we confront temptations, we confront these things with the weapons that God has given us. His grace, His wisdom, Scripture, His Spirit in our life. And so as we are talking about bearing the fruit of the Spirit, evidence of God's work in our life, we do this by making the right choices each day. One choice after another. In each conflict we come up against, we go, what is the thing that God would have me do? What is it that I ought to do to please God, to share Him with the world, that He might be shown in my life and through my words and through my actions? If I want to bear fruit for Jesus, what is it that I must do? And we do that and we take the thought that is contrary to that and we keep it captive and we take it away and we do what it is that God would have us do. I hope that today you walk in God's wisdom. I hope that today you bear fruit for Jesus in your life. I love you guys and I'm praying for you and I hope we get to see each other real soon.